Hang in, everybody. I'm going to be coming in a few. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Oh, you can see a little wire hanging at the back there. That's okay. Yes. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging in. QPR. Hold on a second here. Folks here in the chat, thank you for being here. QPR fans since 67. Thank you so much for hanging out. Bit of a late start here, but I know it's tea time. So go ahead. Go right ahead. Yeah, so this is kind of a quick stream, and the reason I put it together, don't necessarily have anything to train, but what I'm talking about has to do with training, online training, and sort of the topic of this live stream. Is this the end of my channel? Well, I'll answer that in the course of this stream, but I'll let you know the sort of the onus of why I asked that question and why I'm doing this stream. I don't know if you've heard of Google Gemini. It's an AI, and Google just released it, I guess in the last few days or last week or so. And they released this, it's sort of a package. It's called, I think it's the AI Studio, something like that. Anyway, we'll talk more about it and get in detail. But essentially what it is an AI that can teach you software. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Go in the chat here and just say hello to a few folks. Living in Las Vegas. I sure hope not. I've learned so much from you, your videos over the years. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It's a library of knowledge, always coming back and learning something new. Well, that's great. Absolutely not. Most people want to listen and learn in the traditional way by listening and watching the tutor, the teacher, just like you did at school. Well, when we talk more about this Google Gemini, I don't know. We'll see. 70% of what I know about iMovie and Keynote have been from this channel. Excellent. Excellent. There's a place for books, AI, but only insofar as being secondary and complementary to human teaching. You know, after seeing Google Gemini at work, I don't know. I think in some cases, yes. But when it comes to tutorial training, anyway, I'm not sure. Hey, Gentleman Sport. I became your subscriber since the beginning. Okay, now I'm using Final Cut Pro 10, not iMovie anymore, but still like your content. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for all your hard work. Thanks very much. Whatever forced you to stop your channel, don't stop. Thank you for that. I love this channel. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm 70 and tech challenged. I need a real person to learn from. Well, I get it. I get it. Rainbow Lane. Hi from the UK. Your channel has helped me so much. The best, excuse me, thing was you teaching us how iMovie library bloat can be sorted out. I was so grateful for that learning. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, human to human is best. Mindy over 50. I think people would go to Gemini if you needed a quick answer while editing, but I much prefer you. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I appreciate all that, but having seen Gemini in action. I've got a video. I was watching a few videos today, and it was kind of scary. One video in particular from a channel and a company that I've used for years and years to learn software, Ripple Training. And this is Mark from Ripple Training. Great teacher, great trainer. Teaches Final Cut Pro, teaches Motion. He's just excellent. But I watched his video today, and the alarm in his voice and in his expression. I'll just play the intro of it. Now, he actually used Gemini to try and learn Final Cut Pro, to teach, do some things in Final Cut Pro. You can check out the video yourself. I won't go through the whole video, but I'm just going to play his introduction, and hopefully I don't get an ad. But let me just go in here.
Happy New Year, I think. I've been teaching Final Cut Pro, Motion Resolve, all the software with Ripple Training for 20 years now. This will be 20 years this year. And I'm just thinking about it with being the new year and all this stuff going on with AI and everything, and just wondering kind of how much runway we have left to do this as a business. And this is just my opinion. I don't really know how Steve thinks about this. He'll be seeing this video and I'll get his opinion on it. But I'm concerned. I make most of my living from teaching people software, from selling online tutorials. I also create plugins, and I do consulting work, and I have a production and post company, so I do a mix of things. But over the last 20 years, most of my living has been teaching software, and unclear where that's going to go. Obviously, things have been changing a lot over the past couple of years with ChatGPT and various things coming out. And I've been playing with these tools, and they're very interesting and can be very helpful to editors, and everybody's got a lot of concerns. But about 2 weeks ago, Google came out with Gemini 2.0, and that thing really kind of shocked me awake, I guess, because there's several YouTube videos of people using it to teach themselves Blender, which is a popular free open source 3D application, which I don't use, but I use Cinema 4D, and it's similar. So I can follow along what they're doing. But basically, Gemini watches their screen, you give it permission, and you talk to it, and you say, hey, tell me how to do something. And it tells you how to do it. And it's sort of like, okay.
Let me just pause this for a moment there. This guy is very cool. Like he's a cool as a cucumber dude. He's an amazing trainer, amazing teacher. Been watching him for years. And I can tell the concern in his voice and in his manner. Like his world has been rocked.
So I was just wondering, well, how good would it be at teaching Final Cut Pro or Motion? So that's what I did here. So why don't you take a look with me, and let's look at this together.
Okay, so good timing right out at the ad. I won't get into that. You can watch that for yourself. But he went on to try to get it to teach him Final Cut Pro. It made many mistakes. And as AI will do, it started making stuff up at some point, which is not helpful. But that's as he says in the video, that's the worst it's going to be. It's only going to get better. There's another video where a gentleman is using Gemini to teach him how to use Canva. Pretty impressive. But his intro too is interesting. I'll play that too, and hopefully we don't get the ad. But let's go over here.
Okay, let's go live. James Middick speaking. If you're thinking about creating an online course, specifically a screen capture, and usually it's about pieces of software, something that's on your screen. You're showing people how to use something. I want you to think twice about doing it. Why? Because I'm going to show you sort of the updated version of Google's AI Studio, which I did a video previously kind of introducing when the day it came out, but I think they've improved it since then. And I'm going to show you a screen capture or why you don't need to create screen capture courses. Now, before I do that, I just want to put it in context just to show you how important this is in this whole space on how-to videos.
Now, it's interesting. You listen to this, his stats are pretty amazing when it comes to YouTube and educational videos.
And why you're going to have to be careful if you're thinking about trying to earn or start and build and grow a profitable business if you're just going to create how-to videos. Put this in perspective, there's 4 billion videos on YouTube right now. 51% of them are educational videos. And the rough estimate I got is about a billion of them, 25% of them are showing how to do something on a screen. So you got 1 billion courses being done, and you don't really need them anymore if you're using a tool like AI Studio from Google. And this is the brand new Gemini 2.0 one, and it has something called multimodal live input. So that means that when we're talking to Gemini 2.0, it has the ability to interact live with our voice, not having to prompt like all of the other tools right now, or pretty close to all the other tools. But we can talk, interact live in real time with the tool, but we can also live interact with our camera and also the screen. So if you're thinking of creating a course that is showing how to use something on the screen.
And he goes on to demo it, and it's pretty incredible. So for me, the thing about it is, people talk about the human touch, and I totally get it in having an instructor and somebody there. But when it comes to tutorials that are recorded and produced like I make, there is no instant feedback, right? I make a tutorial, I put it out there. Hopefully, you know, you understand it, you get the value out of it. And if you have any questions, you leave those in the comments, and maybe I'll get to it, hopefully, as I try to get through comments and answer and give you a good answer to your question. Where with this AI Studio, this Gemini AI Studio, it's basically like having your own live instructor, in that you can ask questions and it will answer those questions. So if something's not clear, it can, it can make it clear for you. It's not 100% accurate all the time, but it's getting better and better, and it's getting really close. And just watching some of the demos, it's pretty incredible. So when I look at these things from a creator point of view, it's scary. It's kind of like, well, there goes what I've been doing. I mean, if you can have your own personal tutor there to teach you software. But then as a consumer, as a user, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I have my own personal tutor to teach me software. And right now, it's free. So it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. And so the question then becomes, what do creators who make tutorials, software tutorials, do now? I mean, I can't even imagine people who make courses and make a living like the guys at Ripple Training off of training videos for software like Final Cut Pro or what have you. They're, as you saw in that video, they're very concerned. They're very concerned. So, this got me thinking, like, what is the future? What is the future of tutorial content, particularly software tutorial content on YouTube? And here's the irony of it is, Google's the one who made it. Google owns YouTube. So Google essentially is putting many of us out of business, which is just, anyway. So it just made me sort of question a few things. Is that the end? Is that the end of software tutorial content on YouTube? I guess if you're doing it just sort of recreationally or as a hobby or as for fun, just sharing, people will keep doing that. But if you're trying to build a business on software tutorials through YouTube, I don't know. And like I said, it's only getting better. I never, it's funny, we were talking about this, what, about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, the impact of AI and what it was going to do. And everyone thought, well, we got 5 years. We got 3 years. Creators. No, it's here now. It's here now. And so the question becomes, what now? What now? Let's go to the chat here real quick here. Are your tutorials going away too? In addition to me? I don't know about that. Hey, John Sullivan's here. Thanks for being here, John. Good to see you. Very interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting. It is interesting, like, again, from a user perspective, from a creator perspective, it's I think if you're somebody who's making software tutorials, you got to think about pivoting right now. Not necessarily giving up what you're doing, but I think we all have to sort of, think about finding a new angle on what we do. I just think that's the reality. Humans for the win. Yeah. But I mean, when you look at practically and you sit back and look at the Google Gemini and the AI Studio from a practical point of view, something that can teach you software that is incredibly patient, that'll answer your questions when you ask them, can do follow-ups and things like that and give you detail, go at your pace. That's pretty compelling from just a purely educational point of view. That's and let's be honest, there are different users on YouTube, and I know in my community, I have my diehard fans who I love. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking the time and being a part of the channel, who are here, for me, my style, how I interact, that kind of thing, and I really appreciate that. But there are a lot of people on YouTube and a lot of users, and I get a lot of views from people who are just trying to find the answer to something, right? They just want to get the value, they want to get the answer, solve their problem, and be on their way. And something like Gemini, it's very compelling for those kinds of, people who are just looking for answers. And also not even just for answers. If they want to sit down and dig in and learn a full course, like, hey, I want to learn Blender, as it was mentioned, you can sit down and learn Blender and it'll teach you Blender. That's really compelling for people who just, they want to learn, they want the content. It's very compelling. And that's a lot of people. AI is taking the soul out of life in many ways. Well, I think AI is doing, I think good AI is doing a lot of the kind of grunt work that we've always done. In terms of this kind of thing, teaching software, a lot of teaching software is repetition and anticipating the questions and concerns of the learner. And as when you're making sort of a produced piece of training content, you have to do that all ahead of time and then deliver that. Where with something like this, the AI, the Gemini, you don't have to. It does it in real time. And on top of looking at your screen, in the one video with Mark from Ripple Training, he had his screen. He opened up his screen to Final Cut Pro, and he asked Gemini, what you see my screen, what is it that I'm trying to do? And it said, oh, I see you have a video editing application open. And he said, yes. And what application is that? And he said, oh, that is Final Cut Pro. And you can pick a voice, right? That's just the stock voice that he used. And so it was fairly impressive. It was fairly impressive. So yeah. Now, I don't think, and here's the thing, we'll get to this in a moment, but I don't think this is the end for channels like me. I think people who just teach software, like here's a course on how to use iMovie, here's a course on how to use Final Cut Pro or what have you, that are basically teaching the manual, essentially. I think those folks have cause for concern. I really do. Because I think if you want to compete now, this is my opinion, if you want to compete now in the training space online with this AI, you're going to have to find some kind of unique angle that AI is going to have problems imitating. And so that's going to take a lot of imagination. So if, you thought, well, okay, I'll just teach the manual, I don't know if that's going to work anymore. And if you make a course that's just basically teaching the manual, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to belittle that, because a manual's in text and it's hard to follow, and you can take that and translate into video. It's easier to consume. That's value, right? You're adding value. But if that value now is taken care of by AI, who's gonna pay for that? Like, who's gonna pay for a course on how to use Final Cut Pro if I can, for free, get Google Gemini to teach me in my own time? And it's interactive, right? It's not passive video on demand. It's actually interactive, right? That's the piece that I can't imitate, right? I can't interact with you. I'm interacting with you right now, but I can't answer specific questions, your questions, individual questions in real time at scale like Google Gemini can. And that is the winning edge for that, for that whole, for AI in this case. I mean, I concede that point. I can't scale like that. All right, let's go back to the comments here. Bill Wolf, these tools are great for getting a quick answer or debug. I wonder if a curated course, many lessons building up skill with a clear progression plan, will remain better done by humans. Here's the thing about that, Bill. It makes sense. But here's the advantage of the AI approach. You can do it at your own speed. You can curate your own content. And when it comes to learning, there's a lot of stock put into the whole concept of sort of determining your own path through the learning. And that people actually learn better when they create their own path. Because we all learn differently, we learn at different speeds, we all have different questions. And if you're able to, as you're learning, be mindful enough to have those questions and ask the AI, and it can respond, that, like I said, it's that give and take, it's that interactivity is the piece that is so powerful. Right? It's like having an instructor right there answering your question just for you, just for your individual question. And like I said, it's when I watched the Final Cut Pro demo, it was, it was kind of funny. It was making up like buttons and stuff like that, which was a little alarming. But I mean, that's the worst. That's as bad as it'll be. It'll just get better. It'll just get better. So I guess my point is, there is something to be said for self-directed learning. And I think something like Google Gemini is perfect for that kind of thing. And not to say you wouldn't go to YouTube or somewhere else or to get follow-up, but I think the bulk of that training now is going to be handled by something like that. Pim, please go on with your great channel. Thanks very much. Peter Jack Scott. Hi, Mike. Please don't end your channel. I really love your videos and the content is very useful, not just for me. I refer back now and then to some of your videos that have inspired me in the past. Well, that's an interesting point, Peter. because I think that is the piece maybe that as trainers and tutorial trainers and just tech trainers in general on the platform, and I see someone else here who is an exceptional tech trainer in the chat, Doc Rock. Thank you so much for being here, Doc. If you don't know Doc, you need to know Doc. He's a great guy. He's so knowledgeable. He's an OG video guy like me. You know, I can, drop frame. He knows what that means. But he is on top of this stuff, on top of the AI stuff. He works for Ecamm, which is a live streaming software, which is excellent software. So he trains that constantly, and he does a whole bunch of other training too. So get to know Doc Rock. Shout out, brother. Aloha. Aloha. Anyway, getting back to Peter's point about inspiration, I think that is the one thing as a person we can hopefully bring as trainers now more so to what we do, right? The inspiration piece, those soft skill pieces, the spirit, the enthusiasm, that kind of stuff. I think it's going to become more important now. It's going to become more important now. Tarot at the Treehouse. Enjoyed your iMovie lessons. So helpful. I'm 71 and now able to create and post shorts on YouTube because of your lessons. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. That's excellent. Excellent. Great. I'm glad I could help. Thank you for being here. Doc, aloha, brother. Thanks for being here. I know you're a busy man, so taking your time to be here is I'm much appreciated. Much appreciated. Sasha, greetings from Switzerland. Oh, okay. Is that Swiss German? I think that is. My wife could read that. She knows Swiss French. She's bilingual. Thanks for being here. And I'm going to just go on a limb and say that the iMovie videos have helped you a lot. Thanks. Thank you for being here. Doc, yes, today is the worst AI tools will be. It's getting better every day. Yeah, it's the worst. Yeah. You can see it. I mean, up until this point, I've been kind of like, okay, I can see them, being, assisting and stuff like that. In fact, I had a prediction video I did, I guess last week. If you were here, we did it on the stream. And one of my predictions was AI is going to be, it's going to play a role in an assistive role in production still. But I think in terms of tutorial making and production, I think that it kind of just leapfrogged over that. It's now just straight up making it. Not only making them, it's teaching you live in real time. It's incredible. It's incredible. Rainbow Lane. So where is the AI info coming from? Is it like AI images created from actual human content that AI is using? I hope that makes sense. Basically, I mean, is AI stealing human content? It must be. Well, depends how you define stealing, Rainbow Lane. Google, who owns YouTube, I don't know if you've noticed in your channel, if you have a YouTube channel, you may have gotten a little notice in your YouTube studio saying that you now can opt into, at least it's not opt out, opt into third parties using your content to train these large learning models. Third party. Now, does that apply to Google, who owns YouTube? Are they considered third party? So yes, they're training off of, I'm sure they're training off of tutorials and other learning materials and any material they can find online to train the models. Yeah. So Hugo. Hi, Mike. Came across your YouTube channel a short time ago and find it very educational. I pray that you find a reason to continue your very good work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Doc, you had those days of non-drop frame video. Yeah. Yes. Colon versus semicolon. You know what I mean, Doc. Sorry, that's a little inside video, inside baseball there. Sorry about that. Mindy over 50, please do not end your channel. You, excuse me, dumb it down for people like me who are tech challenged. You explain it well. I'm trying to go to CapCut and maybe Final Cut Pro soon. Well, I appreciate that, Mindy. Thank you. The thing about it is, and listen, I have no stock in Google or Google Gemini, but I have to give props where props are due. This, you can even say to Gemini, and you watch those videos in the demos, and they say, I'm not tech savvy, go slow, and it adjusts accordingly. It adjusts its pace, it adjusts the information, the density, everything. And again, that's only going to get better. And I find when it comes to tech training, a lot, there is the whole concept of dumbing it down, but you can only sort of make it so simple or you lose the essence of the concept. And a lot of tech training is repetition, right? It's repetition. And if you have a teacher who's patient, that will repeat things for you, and on top of that, pace it the way you want to, in sort of the language level that you want, and never gets tired of doing it, doesn't need a break, doesn't get upset, doesn't get salty because you're not getting it fast enough. I mean, that's it's impressive. No, listen, I appreciate you all, and your support for me and my style and teaching style. I do. But like I said, I got you I would not be a respectable tech trainer, tech enthusiast, never mind, if I did not acknowledge that this is pretty incredible. That it's pretty incredible. And like I said, it may not, I don't think it'll spell the end of tech tutorials and tech teaching. I think that we trainers out here, Doc knows this, that we're going to have to find an angle, right? We're going to have to bring that piece that was mentioned earlier, the inspirational piece, right? Something that AI hasn't yet been able to imitate. And we're going to have to find a different angle on what we do, because you can't just, not like I teach the man. That's what I do. I don't really, I don't teach the manual per se. I give you background when I'm teaching you something in particular. But if that's all you do, I mean, I can see people sitting down with Google Gemini and just going every day and just going, hey, teach me this, teach me how to do this, teach me how to start a project in Final Cut Pro, and they'll just go through themselves. Teach me how to do this effect in Final Cut Pro. Teach me how to apply a camera lookup table to this footage. Sure, do this, do that. And instantly, right? Where me, I'd have to, I'd have to maybe outline the tutorial. I'd have to film the tutorial. I'd have to, edit it and stuff and post it. Google Gemini and do it like that. So when I talked about scale, that's another part of the scale piece, right? Is how much content it can go through in real time. Oh, you have helped me loads. Massive amount of appreciation to you. Stephen Cheese, Garden Maintenance Business, UK. I have to deal with robot lawnmowers, etc. Sending such happiness for your future. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Robot lawnmowers. Doc Rock. The one thing AI cannot do is create the connection. Yes. And we know the parts of the software that is not in the manual because the developers don't know. Yes, exactly. Right? And I think for me, for my channel in particular, our developers are surprised by what Ecamm users pull off we didn't know was possible. Precisely. And that is when I talked about the angles. So for me, the angle of my channel is really hacks. And yeah, it is stuff probably the developers didn't know, people would do with it, because I bring my knowledge and experience of being, a video creator, broadcaster for 20 years and just making so much content in every genre that you can think of, from children's to drama, to scripted drama, to everything, sports. I've had to work with tools and make content for so long. There's certain things when I look at software or any tools that go off in my head that say, okay, how would I use this to make something? Or I need to make this particular thing. How can I make it? And a lot of times that kind of stuff isn't necessarily anticipated, as Doc mentioned, by developers. And so that's the creativity and originality that I hope I bring to my content. And it's the hacks, it's the shortcuts, it's the insider tips. Now, not to say that AI eventually will gobble all of that up and be able to figure it out. I don't think it's there yet, but I'm sure it'll get there. But that sort of bringing your experience and that connection, I think, is going to become more and more important. And honestly, from a teaching point of view, I think to sort of be successful and thrive, you're going to have to really do a lot more of that, a lot more inspiration and connection to motivate people to then learn from, in this case, Gemini. Right? So that's one of the powers of a good teacher, right? All the information is there. Everything you need to know is out here in the ether. You just need the motivation to find it, right? It's like anything. Motivation is the first thing you need to do anything, to learn especially. You need to be motivated to do it. And so that piece is still going to be very important. So it's like I said, it's not the end. It's just we're going to have to find a different angle. And as Doc mentioned, we're going to have to really front end load the connection and the inspiration, the human things when we train. I love that you make your content concise and easy to digest. I appreciate that. Thank you. iMovie and QuickTime videos, tutorials, massive help from Stephen Dorset, England. Tech IQ 0. Please do not end your channel. It's interesting you mentioned that Tech IQ. And I've found that in my experience, and I hear a lot of people say this. They say, well, I'm not tech savvy. I'm not a technical person. No one's really a technical person, right? The key to learning technology, like so many other things, the most important thing is curiosity. It's being curious enough to find out how things work. That's it. And, perseverance, of course. But I think, and the thing about it is, with something like Google Gemini, that's infinitely patient, and like I said before about self-directed learning, which is very powerful. That is a powerful combo for learning anything. Mind blown. I think I came in here late. Am I in the right place? And don't know exactly where you're headed, but I have been subscribed for years, and you've always got me thinking to make my own iMovie hacks and workarounds. Yeah. So I'm talking about, specifically, I'm talking about Google Gemini. It's an AI, a large language learning model that basically can teach you things. It can teach you software, again, essentially. It can teach you software. So the question becomes, what do you need someone like me for? And that is the question. So that in a nutshell is what we're talking about. Philip, as a former Apple creative, often pointed users to your channel. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Because you are the closest thing online to an Apple-trained teacher. Wow. I've also used your content to enhance my own skills. Well, thank you very much, Philip. I appreciate that. Wow. Apple-trained teacher. Here's an Apple-trained teacher right here. Doc Rock. Most important thing you can do when learning new tech, new software is never tell yourself you can't. Nobody's a tech person. You're simply tech brave. got proficient. Yeah, curiosity is my point. We're curious. I was always been a curious person. I always wanted to know how things worked. When I was a kid, I used to take apart my parents would be so angry. I used to take apart my toys. They stopped giving me toys on my birthday and Christmas because I was taking them apart to see how they worked. Just curious. But that's so true. And like I said, if you have curiosity and you bring it to something like Gemini that has infinite patience, and you can interact with it. That's, again, I go back to it, that you can ask questions and it will answer questions. That's pretty, it's pretty powerful for learning. As a lifelong learner, like I'll take off my creator hat and put on my lifelong learner hat. That's a pretty compelling proposition. And for free. That's, yeah. I just want to drop a line and say I started watching your channel, learned certain skills, and continued watching because of you. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I really hope you can pivot and continue. Thank you. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to have to if I want to continue, right? I'm going to have to pivot. It wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't be the first time I had to pivot. But it's a real concern. And this is why I decided to come on and talk about it. Because there's some creators who won't be able to pivot or pivot effectively. And I don't even know if I can pivot effectively. I mean, I don't know. I can only try and see what happens. But as I mentioned, I think for me, in a way, this is a good thing. I know it sounds weird to say this, but Google Gemini and all this teaching you stuff is a kind of a good thing for creators, at least for me. I can only speak for myself. Because, yeah, when you learn and develop, how do you learn and develop? When you get pushed out of your comfort zone. And this is, Google Gemini has kicked us out of our comfort zone. So we got to think as creators, it forces you to think, what's important now? What's important to people now? If AI is taking care of the details and a lot of the, let's face it, the grunt work of repetition and doing all that stuff, as human creators and educators, what can we bring now? And it forces you to think, what is the unique thing that you can bring to the table now? And going back to what Doc mentioned about connection, and what I mentioned about inspiration, and figuring out how can we do more of that while at the same time, show you how to do things. And that's going to be the challenge to figure out. Because like I said before, I appreciate the community that shows up for me every week, but there's a lot of people who just want the value and be on their way, right? And something that's fast and efficient and they can answer their questions on top of it. If you had the choice, and you weren't emotionally invested in me, in my channel, which one would you pick, right? Let me go back here. I don't know if AI will ever truly be able to problem solve like a human can. It's smart and I use it, but I think it has limits for now. Yeah. And I've always felt that AI is a good thing to take care of that sort of, the kind of what you would call the grunt work of doing things. But I think where we as humans come up short, at least even so in the media space, because in the media space, we all thought when the internet came and online video came, I thought, okay, great. What I used to do live in person, teaching people things, or what I used to do, try to do with text and images on a blog, I can now do, at scale online through video, whether it's live or video on demand. It's like, oh, this is amazing. But now that's been overtaken because the one thing that I said again, I can't do at the scale that Google Gemini can. I can't answer individual questions when you answer them. and give you the detail and follow up as much as you need at any kind of scale. And that's the winning advantage, the scale piece when it comes to technology. Tech curious. Yes. Tech curious. Yeah. Anything curious. I mean, that's how you learn, right? It's part of the motivation piece. Some of us are motivated by crisis. Like when something breaks, or you're on a deadline and it's not working, and so you got to figure out how to figure it out. So you go, and that's how you learn. Not the best way to learn, through crisis. It can be a little stressful. And then a lot of people learn through just curiosity, or a combination of both. Been my experience. Yeah. Oh, Doc was a former fruit farmer. OG geniuses when the program first started. Yeah, Doc he's a OG Mac dude. 10 years. I missed that place. So fun helping people. You still helping people? Still helping people, Doc. Helping a lot of people, which is amazing. AI does not have humor and personality. Does it? Is it likable? I have not used it. You have drawn my attention to it now. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm 49 and also tech dumb. Find the next thing. Yeah, well, have you heard of 11 Labs? Anybody heard of that? That's the AI voice company. It's pretty incredible. I mean, the AI voices now have inflection. They're getting more and more personality. They're not perfect yet. They're not, close to, they're not human yet, but man, they're getting close. And at the end of the day, you also have to ask the question, how good does it need to be effective, right? In terms of your goal. If your goal is to teach people, what's the priority? Is it the personality and humanity of the teacher, or is it the concision and the accuracy of the content, and whether or not you can absorb it fast and get to using it to do what you want to do? Because at the end of the day, that's what training is, right? Is you go through training in order to do something. And so the faster and more effective you can learn to do that thing, isn't that the goal? And if that way becomes through AI, right? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who aren't as romantic about how they get what they need. I just put it that way. If you're leaving, would you consider making a DVD that we can use for archive purposes? DVD? DVD? Isn't that physical media? Leaving? Who said anything about leaving? I never said I was leaving. We're talking about the channel. It's more than being curious. It's sharing your passion. A passionate teacher will get you excited about what you're learning more than AI. Yes, I agree to a certain point, but I think about what motivated me to do things. And a lot of it was just watching really cool stuff and figuring out, how can I make that cool stuff? And, mostly the cool stuff is made by humans so far, for the most part. And that's how what motivated me was seeing really cool examples of things. But yes, having a teacher to motivate you also is good. But I think if we're talking about adult learning and lifelong learning, a lot of people's motivation to learning things is necessity, right? They're running a business, they're trying to do something. A lot of times it is running a business or for their job, and they need to figure out how to do something. And it's sort of that crisis motivation that gets them to figure out things. I only say that because I get a lot of comments on my videos and things of people saying, I had this project I had to do, and I was trying to figure out how to use iMovie, and I saw your video, and it helped me, so on and so forth. It is often really helpful to see something demoed and see the steps visually rather than in a text list. Yeah, this is something AI still can't do. Um, by the way, AI still often invents and hallucinates things. Yeah, it does. It did, and it started inventing and hallucinating things in the Final Cut Pro demo I mentioned off the top. It was making up menu items, and it's like that button doesn't exist. But they'll clean that up, and you don't think while you're using it, it's on the back end. Google is training it, is taking notes of the mistakes because your microphone's open. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, but your microphone's open. It's looking at your screen. I'm sure it's noting the mistakes, and those mistakes will be corrected quickly. And the thing about AI in a text list, yeah, but when you watch this demo, more powerful, it's not showing you how to do it, it's getting you to do it. And that is, I mean, ultimately when it comes to training, is the most powerful thing. So it's telling you, okay, you're trying to do X. Okay, well, first go up to the top left and click on this, button. And so you look for it and you find it. And the fact that you have to take that action, that sticks with you more than watching someone on a screen do it. Learning research has shown that, right? Actually doing the learning actually makes it sink in better than watching. Watching is really helpful, more helpful than reading. But on the scale, watching a video may be more powerful than reading, but actually doing is a more powerful technique than watching a video. Listen, I'm not an AI apologist or anything like that, but I think if we want to be honest about technology, and I live and work in the technology space, we can't ignore what's happening, right? We can't ignore what's happening with AI anymore. And we have to figure out, as creators, as users, but more so as creators, how do we fit in as more and more of AI is doing our jobs, essentially, doing our work? What do we do? How do we pivot? How do we find the angles? And that's where I'm coming from. I'm not necessarily coming from the place of, oh, this is so amazing and cool. And, it's just like, this is the reality. This is what's happening. I'm sure this is how people were when the automobile came in. People with the horse and cart were like, what is this automobile thing? All the smoke and the noise and all this stuff. And they were probably like kicking and screaming too. And raging about automobiles. But this is what's happening, and it's a reality. And the thing about it is, let's be honest, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with AI, but not acknowledging it and ranting against it is not going to stop it necessarily from progressing if we know history. So I just want to make that clear. It's just, this is the reality. As a Gen Xer, I'll always be skeptical of AI. Thanks, James Cameron. Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer too. We saw the movies. Skynet. HAL 9000. Good morning, Dave. We've seen all those movies, right? Of AI going awry. I mean, we sort of have that happening now, not purposely, but with autonomous vehicles still having some hiccups with that. So that's not really AI on purpose trying to cause trouble. It's just, it gets confused. I guess that was HAL 9000 too. It was kind of confused. I'm fairly computer literate, but too many channels go way too fast and aren't very specific. You made it easy for me to learn and master so much. AI will never compare. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, that's one of those things that I think is an advantage, as I said before, about hacks and being specific and making your content more specific and more sort of scenario oriented, I think is something that'll still, people will still be looking for. MK, this goes to show what I was talking about the other day, how important title and thumbnail are. Everyone, me included, came to make sure you don't leave. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, you know, because I was putting that up thinking, okay, I don't want this to be like this is not like a clickbait situation. I'm not trying to get everyone here and, oh my God. This, I'm not, you know, this is not hyperbole. I'm genuinely concerned about the direction of this channel and where I'm going next. Because, and the reason I say that is this, you know, as a creator, and YouTube already is getting very competitive. You know, 51, as that gentleman mentioned in the video, 51% of videos on YouTube are educational videos, training videos. That's a lot of stuff. YouTube is getting competitive. There's just more and more content. And, you know, at a certain point, and Twitch found this out, the live streaming platform, there's like more creators than users, really. So when you get more content than there are eyeballs, it gets more and more difficult to get views because people just don't have the time to watch so much content, even if they want to. So there's that piece of it. But as a creator, so that environment, take that environment, leave AI out of that for now. That environment already is getting more competitive. And as a creator, it's how do I stand out? How do I get views? All the things you worry about as a YouTube creator. Now add on top of it that the thing that you make, the product that you bring to market is now being able to be done by something faster, and is interactive, and it's free, at least right now. And you start thinking to yourself, well, why am I putting in all this work to make these tutorials when someone would be like, why should I go here and fish around in YouTube trying to find out what it is? You know, maybe I'll find the video that I want, that I need to figure it out, when I could just go to Gemini and ask it directly, this is what I need to learn, and it teaches me. Right? So as a creator, you have to start thinking practically. You always have to be thinking practically about your finite resources, like your time and energy, in order, you know, to keep going on YouTube. And I want to keep going on YouTube. First of all, let me just make this announcement. I'm not leaving YouTube. I'm not leaving. Even if you try to make me, I'm not leaving. I just love making content. It's what I've done for my entire life. I've been doing it since I was 7 years old in many, many forms. So it's in my genes. I'm not going anywhere. But I do have to figure out how, but, you know, to be practical, I love doing it, but I still, you know, I need to grow. I want to grow a channel. Got to pay bills, need to eat. You know, I want to grow. So I have to figure out, okay, so how do I pivot? What do I do? How do I address this? Because, you know, people have choices. They've always had choices, but now they have incredible choices to learn. And so how do I still be in the mix to still be a viable choice? And that's just something as a creator, you're constantly thinking about. You're constantly thinking about. AI only knows, or rather, what humans feed it. Never quit teaching or bowing to the inferior. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, but they're teaching. But the thing about it is, that's a good point. But like I said, a lot of people are just teaching the manual. And so if you can put the manual in AI and it teaches it, but it's interactive, you know, and I think that's kind of lost in this conversation. I keep coming back to it, but I think that is the thing that just kind of breaks everything apart, is that interactive aspect. And the fact that you can sit there and ask it questions and it'll answer your questions. And it's learning from your questions, right? It's learning from your questions. You're learning. It's just, I can't do that at scale. I have valued your content, usually for helping me with specific questions or issues. I'm sure I am not the only one that has benefited from your knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think, again, this is one of the things that, in terms of a pivot. And I think Doc will appreciate this, because I think one thing to pivot will be addressing more specific questions, doing more Q&A type content where you're actually answering people's specific questions, their specific needs and use cases. I think that'll still be valuable. And I think as a educational content creator, that's something that I think we all need to consider doing. And we can do that kind of at scale through live streaming. You can do it through video on demand, but it's, you only have so many questions you can answer. But I think just that whole approach of being more direct with your users is going to be a way that you continue to compete as an educational creator on YouTube. I learn best out of need. Yeah, we all do, right? How'd you learn not to put your hand on the stove? I know how I learned. I know how my daughter learned, right? You accidentally touched the element and you learned, right? And that's how, say what you want. It's a powerful way to learn. A lot of people learn out of fear. How many of you crammed before the exam night before? Is it the best way to learn? No. Studies show. But it got you motivated to learn, didn't it? Or to write that essay the night before. And yeah, we do. We learn, a lot of us are motivated by need and crisis, mostly crisis. Like we're, I need to do this or else. The fear is just a great motivator, unfortunately. More of a survival instinct, obviously. Meaning I learn best when I have an actual project to apply the knowledge to. Yeah. And I think, again, that's one of the things I think as tech teachers we're going to have to do is be, and I try to do that with my stuff. I rarely kind of say, here's how to use this feature in iMovie. I usually attach it to a project. Like, here's how to create this thing that a lot of people want to create. And in the process of showing you how to create it, you're going to learn how to use these things. That's how I approach it. And I think that approach still is going to be, important, but I think AI is going to catch up to that. I do. AI is analogous to Betty Crocker mixed to me. It's good, but my Grant's cake could bring tears to your eyes. Yeah. Love in the hands, and that makes it all taste better. Yeah, I agree. But here's the thing. I don't think there's a lot of people who, like I said, aren't that romantic about the value they need at the time. They just want to get it. I just need it as fast as I can get it. Simple. Thank you very much. I'm not even going to subscribe to your channel, but thank you, and I'll be on my way. So there's just so many people, but those people, you're still getting a view in that case, right? So it's tricky. It's tricky. I mean, I can only be me, right? I can only be me, and I will continue to be me in my personality and how I do things. And judging from the comments, that has value to you, which I truly appreciate. I just think it's going to be time to figure out how, like I said, it's like the old saying, through crisis, there's opportunity, right? So crisis is, oh my gosh, AI's taken over what I do. Opportunity is, okay, well, let me figure out a new way, an innovative way to bring that same value to people that AI can't do, at least not right now. And so that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking about. Your keynote tutorials have been extremely helpful for my art channel. As a creative director at an agency, I've been learning AI as an additional tool. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, AI is an additional tool. And I think in a lot of production it will be, but I think now with Gemini, it's going to become the tool. And it kind of makes sense because, we've got software teaching software, right? In a way, it kind of makes sense. I think also too, I think more live action type content is going to be coming online as opposed to the screen recording because of things like Gemini. So, recording B-roll and doing live action stuff, I think is still going to be important and still stand out in the AI world. I know generative AI is getting better at creating video and stuff like that, but it's still just uncanny valley. It just still kind of looks kind of unsettling to our eyes. Where a screen, a software interface, not so much. I've watched your channel for a while. Your tips have helped me create better within iMovie and Mac platforms, and I thank you for that. Stay with us. Thank you very much, Sean. Appreciate that. Greatest hits. Oftentimes, I'll have one of your videos playing on my phone while simultaneously using the technique you are teaching on my iMac. That's excellent. That's an excellent way to learn. Glad to hear it. And as a tutorial creator, I put a lot of thought into that kind of scenario. I used to take a lot of heat for the pace of my tutorials. Oh, you're so slow, speed it up. No, watch this tutorial at 2 times speed, blah, 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 blah. But the reason I go at the pace I do is because that's how I imagine people using it, because that's how I would use it. I would put it on and do the thing at the same time. So that's why I pace it that way. But again, Google Gemini can do that. It'll go at your pace and it will repeat things. And I mean, it's like having a personal instructor, essentially. I have the videos I find useful saved and come back to them time and time again. Yeah, greatest hits DVD. And I'll make a commercial for it. People old enough to remember, if you're a Gen Xer, you'll remember the KTEL commercials. KTEL presents Mike Kinney's Mac Video Magic's greatest hits. Like your favorites. Like how to make vertical video in iMovie. Okay, Mike. People talking in the comments. Great topic. My first computer was a ZX Spectrum and an Amstrad CPC 464 with tape deck built in. Yeah, we have come a long way. Dial-up modem. It's going to start moving faster now too. Yeah. Yeah, my first computer was at school, was the CBM PET computers with the tape deck drive, which we thought was amazing. Oh, and before that, every month we got to use, in math class, we got to use the computer. We got to send a math problem to the mainframe computer. Remember this. We get punch cards or not punch cards, but the bubble cards. And we'd have to put down our equation in the bubble cards and get like a stack this thick, give it to the teacher. And then he'd take it away and then they'd feed it into the mainframe and then spit out the printout. And we, get it with the perforations, with the dots and the whole thing. And we're like, wow. Oh, man. Yes. Gen Xers, we kind of were there at the beginning. And I think, not to take anything away from other generations, but I think as a generation, we've seen so much change and we've been sort of at the pinnacle of it, whether it's computers, video games, the internet. I tell my kids this. They're like, it's like, yeah, when, computers, personal computers became a thing, like you could buy one in the store and put it in your house. Yeah, I was, 12, 13. Oh, you remember video games? Yeah. Well, the Atari and stuff. Yeah, I was 13. Do you remember the internet? Yeah, I was in my 20s when that came. You know, we've been there. We've seen all this stuff happen. I'll get worried when AI can teach live. Yeah. 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 It took me a while recording to moms, but 8 centimeter wide leather strap is an incredible teacher. Yep. Yeah. My dad had 2. He had the regular everyday one, and then the one when you were really bad. And he kept him on a wire hanger on the back of the door in his bedroom. And he'd make you get it when you needed to, you know, correction. And I did as a kid. I was terrible. Do you have a tutorial on how you set up your live videos? You mean what I'm doing right now? No, I don't. No, I do not. I don't have a tutorial on that. You know, it's funny. I don't even know how many people want to do live video. I mean, Doc, not to like creep into your domain here, but you can please pipe in your opinion. But it's been my experience over the last 5 years or so that a lot of people, I mean, take the pandemic sort of out of the equation. That was kind of like an anomaly. But most people don't seem to be interested in live as many people as I thought. And we have these great tools to do it, like Doc, who, you know, he teaches Ecamm, which is a great tool, Mac only, to do live streaming and recording and other content types of content creation. I mean, I enjoy going live, and frankly, I'll be doing more lives because one reason is because of AI, and I just enjoy it. I come from television. I've done live television. I was, you know, theater actor, film actor. So I really enjoy live streaming. I like connecting with, I mean, I know I'm talking to a little black box with a lens on the front of it right now, but in my mind, I'm talking to you. I'm on a stage talking to a bunch of people. So I enjoy doing that, but not a lot of people like doing that, and it scares them a lot. But I'd love to teach more live stuff. Pace was perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny. The comments from the people who complained about the pace of my tutorials, the demographic tended to be younger. We'll just put it that way. Dude, my first was a PET 2, 7th grade. Yeah. The first computer I actually bought outright, like with my money, was Commodore 64. Love that thing. And then from there, I got an Amiga 500. I wonder if way down the road we will come full circle again and connections with people will be more valuable than AI. Kind of like cell phones and the movement of people going to non-screen flip. I think that's already happening. I think with everything, every kind of major movement, you're always going to get like, I won't call it backlash, but kind of like a resistance to it. And a lot of times when things as consequential as AI come on, it forces us to kind of reevaluate what's important to us. And as a media creator, you know, and someone who makes content, it's in a long history of doing it when we didn't have digital, before digital, when I was literally cutting tape with a razor blade and taping it back together again. You know, what was important back then? It was the experience, right? At the end of the day, no matter what the tools always change. It's the experience you're providing for, I'm going to say the audience. I know user, everyone uses it, but it's the audience to me, because that's what I'm used to. It's the experience you're providing to that individual who's watching. And the tools and everything else are just a means to create that experience. And I think we're starting to realize that with AI, and we're starting to go, what is important? Right? How can I create an experience that resonates with people? And a lot of times it's not the content. Most times I say it's not the content. There's everything else around it that's so important. And I think this is all, AI is kind of a wake-up call. And I'm not anti-AI. I think it's very useful, but I have to, it's just forcing me again to get out of my comfort zone and figure out what's important as a creator, what's important to me as a creator, and what's important to you as an audience member, right? What's important to you? And that's what AI is forcing us to do. Ooh, I can give you the numbers. It keeps 10 of my staff gainfully employed. I just hired a new person joining us soon. Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? I don't know who you're talking to, Doc. Don't know what generation I am. Born in the 50s. Your videos have helped me create home movies of my grandchildren. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Yeah, my kids, it's funny. My kids, I have a Gen Zer and a Gen Alpha. And what's hilarious, they know how to work their device. So I'm slow. They have no patience with me when I'm trying to look at something on the device. Let me just do that, Dad. But they do not know how to fix a computer. They know the basics of using a computer like a desktop or even a laptop. But if something happens, Dad, I've in the last month have fixed 3 computers, both of their computers, installed hard drives, set up the OS. And I'm a Mac guy primarily. I do have a PC over here that I use occasionally, but my kids are both on Windows PCs. So there's a lot of stuff that has to be done sometimes. But they don't know anything about a computer. So I was fixing my parents' computer and my mother-in-law's computer, and then, my relative's computer, and then I'm fixing my kid's computer. No one's fixing my computer but me. Also, there is no substitute for watching and listening to a real person. AI, I'm sure it's great, but I may be too old to engage with it. Yeah, and exactly, right? We're humans. There's still the human connection, and we're built for that, right? That's what I mean. The live action video AI stuff is still kind of, it's a little alarming because our brains that are so trained over generations and thousands of years of evolution to recognize human faces and interact with human faces and read human faces, sees a face that's not quite human. It's kind of what's going on. Our brains, there's a part of our brain at the back that goes, something's not right here. This is not a person. So I think the human piece is still going to be very important. And I think for me as a creator, it's figuring out how to bring more of that human piece to my content. And I think that's what a lot of creators now are going to have to do if they want to continue to, survive, never mind thrive, or thrive, never mind survive in the online space. Doc, I used to fix 64s, 128s, and Amigas. First tech job was at Commodore Repair Shop. Nice. When the video toaster, yes, an Amiga 3000 came out, I became a video person full time. Yes, I remember a toaster. I remember the toaster. Very cool. Video toaster, for those who don't know, it's kind of like the equivalent of, I don't know, kind of like OBS, Open Broadcaster Software Studio, but physical, with physical buttons and switches and things to switch and do stuff like that. It's very cool. Hey, Mike, just joined the stream. I hope that it isn't the end. I've watched so many of your videos over recent months as I was an iMovie beginner. They're brilliant and have helped me so much. Thank you so much. The end. Well, like I said, I don't think, I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to have to really rethink, and prioritize where I put my energies that makes sense for me as a creator to still be getting satisfaction from creating, and also for you in terms of usefulness. And so I think that's different now. I think that equation is different now. It's changed fundamentally. And I think part of, I think part of the change will be stuff that I'm doing right now, which is live streaming. Because you see me, I'm not AI, honest. But also it's more of the connection, right? And it gives you more of an opportunity to experience my personality, for better or for worse. But at least there's some kind of experience beyond just the content. And so that's what's in my head. So again, I have to make it work for me as well as you. And that's a bit of a thinking process that I have to go through, because I just don't think, I'll be honest, I just don't think the way I've been doing things now is going to not even move the needle. I think it's just going to just decline. I mean, as more and more people have access to tutorial content that they can get instantly with AI that can answer their questions in real time, that's hard to compete with that. So I have to figure out, how do I still do what I love to do, which is share things that I find out, share knowledge and that kind of stuff, but still be somewhat relevant? That's the challenge. That's the challenge I have. Sorry, that was about people doing live streams. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, that's nice to hear, Doc, that, it's pretty big. Because honestly, I think going into 2025 and with everything going on with AI, I think live content, however you do it, any kind of format you do it, I think is going to become bigger and bigger as people crave more connection, and more of an experience around what they do on YouTube and other platforms. I think it was good to hear that it's getting bigger. Glad to hear it. I only ever use Windows, got the Mac to create. I knew nothing, even what Safari was. Due to your videos, I now know more about my MacBook than my friends. AI can't replace face-to-face content. Thank you. Appreciate that. AI can never replace what you provide on this channel. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. No, I don't think it'll replace it, but I think it can do a lot of what I do. But there's some pieces it can't do, at least not right now. But I bet you didn't know I am actually AI. This whole thing has been AI. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Could you imagine if I peeled back like a green screen right now and then I was behind there saying that whole thing was oh my gosh. That would be wow. Oh my goodness. Referencing live streaming. I do an on gardening topic, running a gardening business and started one, etc. So would be really handy. Good. Doing a video on live streaming. Filling all the silences is worrying. You know what? Yeah, you don't have to fill all the silences. Yeah, that's what I used to think too. Everything that AI knows today was done by you and others. Without you and others, AI can't learn anything new. For the next 3 to 5 years, AI still needs you. Yeah, it does. And that's the thing. It's going to learn from me. And it's probably listening to me right now, and it's going to say, okay, that's what we need to do next. We need to add more personality. Yeah, I don't know where it's going. And I can only do what I can do. And again, it goes back to figuring out what's important. It's like, what is the essence of the experience for people doing this? And it's figuring that out and doing more of it. And that's the challenge. Yes. Hey, you never know. It could be AI. Yeah, it's a green screen. This whole thing is a green screen. I'm actually Blender. Oh, goodness. Your tutorials on iMovie are great. I rely on them often. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm really surprised that your videos don't have 100,000 plus views, each as they should. More people need to know about your channel. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know either. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Right? There's people who have whole channels and businesses based on doing that, right? Getting views and stuff like that. A lot of YouTube gurus out there. You can go crazy trying to figure that out because every day is different. Like, for example, I released a video yesterday and I thought it was going to be somewhat popular. I thought, no, this is something people have been asking a lot about. And it didn't do very well. It was like 10 out of 10. And then the one before I did on Keynote, and it was kind of a quick one where I was just like, oh, I did this project and I did this thing. Maybe I'll share that with the people in Mac Video Magic of what I did. And I did that. Thing took off. So, there's so many factors that that are not in your control. All I can do is continue, to set goals, try to achieve those goals, and continue to make this, continue to enjoy what I'm doing and still bring value to you. And, we see what happens. We see what happens. But I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't believe half of what those YouTube gurus say. Yeah, it's, I think for me, the issue with that is, I think a lot of times, and as we jump to a different topic just briefly, I think that a lot of those gurus, that advice, I should say, it's kind of one size fits all. And YouTube is so different. Every creator is so different. Every niche is so different. And what makes a niche work is different. And what niches get a lot of views and are popular on YouTube are different. Because, like, for example, the education niche, even though 51% of, according to that gentleman, 51% of videos on YouTube are educational, the educational space has a ceiling. You will never, I believe this, you'll never achieve the same kind of growth and numbers as Mr. Beast or an entertainment channel. Because it's just the nature of the content of the niche, right? That's just, one is more popular than the other. So the advice is different for every, if you want an entertainment channel, that's different advice than an education channel, which is different advice from a true crime channel, and so on and so forth. And I don't like that a lot of the advice, it's one size fits all and isn't sort of taking all those other things into account. Your videos are awesome, and I've learned so much about iMovie Keynote. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Yeah, Keynote is like the sleeper application that does so much. I had this picture of the Keynote team like sneaking in features. Oh, wait till they get a load of this one, and not telling anybody. And then they wait for someone like me to figure it out and go, what? You can do that now? It's a killer app. I don't believe them, and they're all my friends. I push for real connection and community building versus likes and views. I teach helping people is the key. I think, yes, helping people is the key. Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? You can, I mean, I've had my periods when I've sort of jumped into the whole, not being a YouTube guru, no, but try to follow that advice, and you end up running around in circles and forgetting, questioning why you're even doing it. And a lot of times you kind of forget the passion and the reason why you're there to share content. Like if you're running a business and you have certain goals, and that's fine. And that's, some people need to be that strategic because that's their business. But then there's other people who just are passionate about something and they want to share it with the world. And, that can kind of get beaten out of you if you if you ascribe too closely to a lot of the YouTube advice out there. Mac, you are the authority that I go to learn. AI can never replace you. Oh, thank you so much, Quantum Life Upgrade. I appreciate it. A lot of the YouTube gurus are based talking to young creators and dopamine, so I focus on Gen X because we built different. Yeah, you know, it's true, but I think I secretly, and I mentioned this in my predictions live stream last week. I think that the younger generations and younger creators sometimes are looking for a little bit of nostalgia. Nostalgia is huge right now. I know because my kids are always asking me about, you know, they're all about the 90s now. They want to know about the 90s. They're watching 90s sitcoms and they, you know, they're asking about all kinds of stuff. And I think there's security. There's kind of an emotional security in nostalgia. And I think that is one advantage that the older generation can bring online. Because, yeah, we've seen some things. We've gone through some things. And I think some secretly younger creators are looking for that. That kind of stability. My channel has a variety of ages, which is great. And I do get the odd younger generation, younger person sending comments, and it's always amazing to me because they haven't quite learned the art of subtlety yet, so they kind of like say what's on their mind, which is great, and they say it straight out. And a lot of it's been very positive. You know, a lot of it's school projects. I want to start a YouTube channel, and you helped me, and I didn't have any experience or money, and so you showed me how to do it for free on my Mac and stuff, and so it's great. It's great, and I think we've got a lot to offer in terms of that kind of experience, wisdom, and just the general, you know, vibe that we have as, you know, Gen Xers and older, that we bring, that I think can be somewhat calming to younger generations. That's just my opinion. I'm sure the young people right now are like, whatever, old man, or my kids at least. Like your channel and tips. Thank you. I released a video which had nothing in but music and B-roll. It has done better than my ones that are factual with me in it. Yeah, weird, as I have had some go thousands of views, some hit the wall at 50. YouTube, yeah. So much of it's timing. It's so much of what's happening, where people are at. Some people, you know, not learning takes energy. And not everybody has the energy to learn all the time. And sometimes they just want some entertainment. And that kind of stuff tends to do better. Former video production teacher at Oregon High School. You are the North Star. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. It's amazing. Such kind words from everyone today. Thank you. My niece is binging Gilmore Girls for the 10th time. Yeah, my oldest daughter is like binge watching Friends. Like, I think this is the 5th time she's been watching, and now she's interested in watching Frasier, and yeah, and they're like, so I have 2 girls, so now they're raiding their mother's closet for clothes. Oh boy. Doggy Dog World, is YouTube creating as a small channel? It's hard grind at times. Yeah, it's, you know, I mean, we knew this was coming, right? I mean, how many videos can you have? I mean, at a certain point, there's so much video that they got to figure out how to, you know, Google, YouTube, by extension, Google, have to figure out how to, like, categorize it. And not that, but optimize it and make money. Because that's what they're there to do, right? So that's why they got to make an algorithm to try to, how do we take all this millions and billions of hours or millions, whatever, of video. And like, how do we serve people's interests? But at the same time, we got to get advertisers' interests and our interests. And so they got to mix all these things constantly. And so as you can imagine, as more and more content comes online, they got to figure out how do we do this so we're still winning. And what ends up happening is inevitably, they start picking winners. That's just the reality of it, right? Now, lately, you've probably seen a lot of videos saying, "Oh, YouTube is on easy mode," because smaller creators are being shown in the feed now, and I've seen it too. The problem is, it's kind of too late. You know what I mean? It's kind of too late. You've kind of trained everybody in a certain way for years, and now how do you change that? It's like live streaming on YouTube. I love live streaming on YouTube, but I'll be honest and I'll say it right now. And Doc may take issue with this. YouTube is not a live streaming platform primarily. It's great. I love live streaming on YouTube. It's stable. It's great quality, but it's best. I think live streaming is best used supplementally with an upload strategy of some kind. Now that can be as simple as taking your live streams and editing them down, mining the value out of it and making that a video on demand. But people aren't trained to do that on YouTube, right? We've been trained for years to come to YouTube, put in a search term, find something that we need to do. Or we've discovered someone, if it's the entertainment niche, usually somewhere else on some other social media platform. And then we go and we subscribe to their channel. So my point is YouTube is getting tougher and tougher. And how can it not be with so much content that comes online every minute? So yeah, that's another thing as a creator on top of the AI situation that we have to contend with and think about how do we continue to stand out and build a community as things change. It's a constant worry. It's a constant thing. You help people to find a creative hobby with your tutorials. Thank you. Anthony from the e-learning space. Good to see you. It's been a while. Many of the younger folk I work with need the fancy, read expensive tools because that's what impresses them most. We do it with cheap tools. Not sure that's the generation or age. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different things at play there. We can talk to to the issue of gear acquisition syndrome, which has is a gas is an issue. I think a lot in my experience though with training and helping people make video, and even with like working with clients particularly, a lot of times if people aren't knowledgeable about the video creation process, they're just gonna go to what they know, right? And what they see or what their friends have or what their friends say, because that's all they know. So they're gonna say, oh, well, so-and-so is using it on YouTube. He's using this fancy camera. So if I want my videos to look like his, I got to use that camera. They're using that microphone. I have to, so on and so forth. Without really knowing sort of at a fundamental level about video storytelling. And that's, what can you do? And so when I help clients, a lot of times I start with them very simply, right? And I start with what is your message? What is your information? Let's get that, let's make that for video. Let's craft that for video. And we build on top of that. And a lot of times they learn pretty quickly they don't need a lot. They don't need all that fancy stuff. Some stuff you use because it fulfills a function, and that's valid. But so people don't know, they learn, they go, okay, I don't need all this stuff. But then there's some people who just need the stuff, right? And there's some people who just enjoy tech, and I enjoy tech. And there's some people who see it as it's kind of like fashion, right? It's like, I've got this camera and I'm using DaVinci Resolve. And even though I don't, like, I use a fraction of what it does, but I'm using it. So I'm part of the group. It's cool. That's fine. It's just when you become dependent on it to do things is the problem. The problem with gear acquisition syndrome is that you think you need that latest, greatest thing in order to not even make a great video, to make any video. And you never start because stuff always changes. It improves. You'll never catch up. The next greatest thing is always coming out. And that's when it becomes an issue. We had what it takes to make quality video, I don't know, 5 years ago. We got it all. We have everything we need. So it's, but the manufacturers have to keep making things, and because they're in the business to do that, right? And that's fine. But this is why you're starting to see things like camcorders come back in a big way. And Panasonic just released a camcorder, not the greatest, not the best camcorder in the world, fairly modest in terms of features and stuff like that. But I mean, it's decent. And people are asking, why would they release a camcorder in this environment when everyone's about 4K and the resolution and the lenses and all that stuff? It's because they got nowhere else to go. And so they're seeing I think they're riding on this nostalgia. This is my own theory, obviously, and could be crazy, but anyway, I'll share it. They have nowhere else to go. I mean, what more resolution can we make? I guess we can improve the ISO, less, the sensitivity, but where else are we going? So I think they've sort of caught on to this whole nostalgia for simpler times with camcorders, because now the camcorders are starting to become popular again, which is fun for me because it's hilarious because that's all I used for years. Anyway, I went on and on that answer, Anthony. I guess I was just so excited to see you here. I haven't seen you in a while. I'm sure we were the same way at that age. Yeah, listen, I like tech. I'm just a tech junkie in a way. So I in a way, I'm a bit of a collector, but not everyone's like that. And you don't need to be that to make quality video. I'm from the younger generation and love using these tools. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, because the tools they're pretty amazing. The last few years. Yeah, they're fun. They're great. As long as, for me, they're inspiring you to create and helping you create more or better or whatever, then it's great because that's what the tool's supposed to do. I find a lot of people fixate on their tools and never actually do anything. And then they become frustrated and they end up spending a lot of money on a lot of stuff that they never use. And then that cycle just continues. That's what concerns me. I'm not like anti-stuff. I mean, me, I love this stuff. I'm talking about software. But if it's in the way, if it's an obstacle, then that's not a good thing. You can try different channels to build a bigger community. Yeah, well, you mean like try like making? I have another channel that I have. That's just me. That's where I play. It's my playground. Your iMovie and Keynote tutorials are very useful. Thank you. Appreciate that. Doc, you are right about YouTube. I did primarily live for the last 2.5 years, but realized I was neglecting recorded content. Now post daily for 70 days. I'm back. Oh, cool. Yes, I've noticed you've been posting daily. Just kind of turning on the camera and rolling, which is great. Yeah, that's kind of because it's the video on demand, the recordings, the produced videos are the discovery piece, right? It's how you get discovered. And a lot of times, if you look at successful Twitch streamers, they all have YouTube channels. And so they take their content, they edit it down, or they get someone to edit down some of their stuff, and they put it on YouTube. Why? Because discovery on Twitch is abysmal. It's terrible. So they use YouTube as the discovery piece. And then they push people to their live streams on Twitch. And that synergy has been very successful for a lot of creators. And it's just how YouTube works. And so that's what I mean by YouTube not really being a live streaming platform. Live streaming can be a big piece and an important piece of what you do, but you have to have uploads for discovery purposes, because that's just how YouTube is built. It's still primarily, you know, they have the suggestion engine and all that stuff, but it's still primarily a search engine. So, please don't end the channel. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I agree totally with you. Thank you, Max Gaming. Thank you. Excellent. Have you used LumaFusion iOS on or Mac? No, I have not used that. LumaFusion. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't used it. I started with the phone, bought a Sony CX-405 cam. Yeah, a lot of people have that camcorder. Now I have the DJI Pocket 3. Yes, a lot of people have that one now too. It is pretty cool, but you can get overindulged in the kit when you don't need all of it to make good content. Yeah, the DJI Pocket 3 is very popular right now. And I can see why, because, you know, it kind of combines quality with ease of use, which is what a camcorder does too. So yeah, it's become popular. Basically, it's like an action cam on a stick. That's what I call it. Even could be a webcam on a stick, but it's a great little unit. But the problem is when you start getting to cameras like that are kind of bespoke in terms of how they're designed, getting it to do other things can be challenging, or you need a lot of extra equipment to get it to do stuff. Which is why I like camcorders, the versatility of them, the ease of use of them. They're built for video. They're built for recording video. But I have a Sony AX53 that I got like almost 10 years ago. Shoots 4K, great quality. Used it for a project this past summer. Documentary on a dance school. It was so great. Didn't have to think about it. Wasn't switching lenses. Didn't have to think of, just when I looked for a shot, got the shot. It was great. It was great. My video I posted today is exactly about the gear trap. So on point. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that thumbnail. Yeah, the gear trap. Very true. And it's hard. It's difficult for people, like I said, because people who aren't knowledgeable about the process are just, you know, they're looking for answers, and they're going to see what people are using and see what people are suggesting on YouTube, and people who are making quality, good-looking videos, and they think, well, in order for my video to look like theirs, I have to use that stuff that they're using. But not knowing how they're making the video, right? You don't see behind the scenes of what they're doing, right? You don't know. You don't see the setup, all the lights, all the things, how long it takes, right? So you kind of don't ever get a realistic impression of the effort that it takes that goes into a lot of those videos, particularly those camera videos. You don't know all the work that goes into those things that they put into it. And yeah, they just think, okay, I need that thing. And then a lot of times they get the thing, the expensive thing, and then they don't know how to use it, because the learning curve, because it's a pro level tool, the learning curve is like up here, and they get frustrated and never use it, and it just sits there. That's why I said there's so many successful creators on YouTube who just use their phones and a window as a lighting source, getting millions of views, right? Because it's not that, it's the content, it's what they're saying, it's the delivery. It's not the camera. You can add more to your content using LumaFusion and maybe show us how you make your videos look so good. Oh, thank you. I don't know. This video is not getting that good. See that wire hanging there? I meant to charge background light and I left the charging wire in. Whatever. How my videos look so good? It's nothing special, right? It's about technique. It's not about the gear. And here's a fun fact. And Doc is probably gonna want to slap me for this, but my key light that I use right here, that's on me right now, is a ring light. Okay, you know a ring light? You see a lot of social media influencers use that ring light, the ring. And you see a lot of videos and a lot of video experts say, don't use that light. It's terrible as a light for YouTube videos. You know, the lighting is, you know, washes out your features and you get the eye light reflected right in your pupil and it looks weird. And yes, that's all true if you use it like it's designed to be used, but I don't. Why? Because I'm familiar with lighting technique. I just use it like I would use a softbox or a key light. Why? Why, Mike? Why use a ring light? Why not use one of those big softboxes? Well, one, this is a very small space. I could not even fit one of those things in there. It would just take up the whole room. This is like a 7x6 room. It's a closet, basically. So I don't have room for that. I used to use as a fill light over here, which fills in the shadows, just to let you know, is a Elgato key light. Like, Mike, why are you using the key light if it's key, not as the key light, but as the fill light? Why? Because I don't like the quality of that light as a key light. It's a little too harsh for me. I don't like it. I like the ring light off axis and up. I find the nice soft quality of the light. So I don't use the ring light as a ring light. I use it as a key light. Hence this, right? Now, it has nothing to do with the technology. It has to do with my knowledge of the technique. Having done a lot of lighting and video for many years, having lit dramas and all kinds of different things in very adverse conditions with like a flashlight, literally, and a lot of available light, I know where to put the light to get the best value out of it. And so a lot of people don't learn that. And so they're going to go, okay, I need that big dome light, which are beautiful. I'm not saying they're bad. I mean, they're great if you have the space for them. They look great. But they may think, well, I can't do anything until I get that big dome light. And it's like, no. What you need is a key light. And whatever technology that you can get to achieve that, the quality of a key light, use it. And so I use my ring light off axis as a key light, because off axis, it actually has a nice soft quality. There you go. That's your hack for the day. Oh, I went on and on about my lighting there. But my point is this. It's more important to understand technique, because then you can achieve good results with what you have or what you can afford. That was my whole thing in the professional industry. I was the guy you called when you didn't have any budget left and you still had to put a show to air and you still wanted to look good. That's what I was known for in the industry. And so I learned over years and years and years how to be very resourceful with what I had to work with and still achieve fairly decent results. That was my whole shtick as a professional. That's what they called me. Call Mike. Gear toy acquisition syndrome. I'm sure I have no idea what the yes. Oh, I have it too. Except it doesn't stop me from creating. Like, I have a bunch of microphones over there. I'm a bit of a microphone freak because I liked audio when I was in school a lot. And I like microphones. Do I need all these microphones? No. I just, I enjoy them. I don't know why. But it doesn't stop me. I don't sit there for an hour like, okay, which microphone am I going to use? Okay, this one? And then I don't do anything, right? And I'm just trapped in this cycle of, well, this one, is this the best one for this? Or is this the best? Well, this one has this and that, but this one doesn't either. And then you don't do anything, right? That's the problem. It's okay to be interested in tech and be a bit of a collector, but it's when it keeps you from actually creating that's the problem. Hey, Meredith. Meredith Marsh is here. Yay. I love Meredith. She has great content. She's so good. If you haven't seen her channel, go check it out. She's so great. She's so great. She's an inspiration. She's one of my inspirations. I'll say it, Meredith. You're one of my inspirations, along with Doc. Thank you so much for being here. Seriously, though, do more with less has been my mantra for years. I love that you've banged that same drum so well. Oh, yes, I have, and point many people your way. Yes. Because at the end of the day, what are we all trying to do here? Right? We're trying to connect. And we're connecting through media. And in order to do that, we need certain tools. Right? I need the camera so you can see me. Do I need this specific camera? No, I could probably use a webcam, but I decided to use this one. Same with the microphone. Same with the lighting. Same with everything else. All creative choices in the service of connecting with you and delivering some kind of value to you. And at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. And I think a lot of people, they lose that and they get caught up in the how and they forget the why. And then they just become paralyzed. I saw that thumbnail too. I was afraid to click. Well, like I said before, I wasn't trying to I'm not trying to be clickbaity because it is the title of this stream is somewhat accurate because I am trying to figure out what I do, where I go next. And so, yeah. Because I don't do that kind of thing. I don't do the clickbait stuff. I've learned so much from your channel. Thank you so much. I go back a year ago then now, and the difference is night and day. Keep your YouTube alive, my friend. Thank you. Appreciate it. I do. Yeah, I don't, my concern, like a lot of people leaving who've left YouTube for many different reasons. Some of it is they're just burned out. Some of it is they feel trapped in doing what they're doing and they want to do something else. And unfortunately, the way YouTube is designed now, it's very difficult to pivot on your current channel. I've tried it before. No, it's hard. It's so hard to do. Unless you have a very dedicated community and your channel is primarily personality driven, it may be easier. But when you are primarily, and let's face it, a lot of us who do education content, we're utility channels, right? People are used to coming to you for a certain thing. You stop doing that thing, they go somewhere else. Because they're there for that. Not so much for you, they're there for the content. So pivoting is very difficult. But so that's one reason why people leave YouTube. But I think for me, it's not a question of leaving as it is, adjusting, pivoting, developing, innovating, right? And figuring out how to do that in this context of the combination of YouTube and how it works now and with AI. And so this is, we're all trying to thread that needle now, more so than we used to, when I started almost 10 years ago. Todd, great channel, great friendly personality. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I got stuck in the gear trap as well. I got rid of all my GoPros, sold a bunch of stuff to update it with DJI products like the DJI Mini 3 drone, DJI Osmo 2. Ooh, you're a DJI person. Osmo 2, DJI Action 3, and DJI mic. Yes. I did the same thing recently, actually, in the summer. I was on this Elgato kick. I don't know what happened. I had all this Elgato stuff. I had the prompter. I had they came out with this came out with a dock, the XLR dock that goes onto the Stream Deck Plus. Anyway, you know what Elgato Stream Deck is. It's a little controller you can use to do. I'm using one right now, like a OG version to control this stream. Anyway, I was trying to make it all work together, and I got the audio working, and I was using the prompter. And then one day I just sat there and went, and I remember I did a stream or a video, I can't remember what. And I went afterwards, why was this so difficult to do? I felt like I was having to push a lot of buttons and do a lot of things. And I realized that that was a moment I got trapped in the gear. And I stand back and go, do I need all this stuff? Can you make this all work more simply? So as much as I love the Elgato prompter, and I have nothing against it, it's a great piece of kit. It just didn't fit into my workflow. I'm not a big prompter guy. And I found some issues with it too, but anyway. So I kind of sent that back. And then the audio stuff was just way too, the Stream Deck and everything was too complicated. And I kind of sent it back, and I just got the Rodecaster Duo, which does everything. And if you are a Rodecaster user, and Doc, you'll know this, they came out with a firmware update that now it's a complete piece of audio gear. You can do everything with it. Anyway, my point is, I get caught in that trap occasionally as well. And you got to stand back and go, okay, what is it I'm trying to do? And in that situation, the efficiency was terrible. That's when I knew there's something wrong here. This is taking too much work to actually make this simple video. And I adjust accordingly. But I get caught in it all the time. All the time. And I have to sort of stand back and go, okay, nope. The Insta360, I just had a hiccup. Oh yeah, just had a little hiccup with the internet connection. One of my kids must be home. Let's go back here. Yes, all of us, cute videos, good looking lighting, that's it. So I sold a bunch of my old equipment to get new equipment. Yeah, I returned a bunch of stuff. I have a Pocket 2, subscribers sent it to me. Apparently my picture quality was not so great. Okay, we have a better starting point for not getting washed out. I started with ring off access and flat Viltrox fill. Yeah, no, yes, we do. And yes, I actually started off with the Viltrox flat panels way back when I started. And they were fine, but I still didn't like the quality of it. But I've found that particularly, I'm using the Elgato ring light, so I should just mention, because they're built different than a lot of the ring lights out there. So a lot of the ring lights out there, like a Neewer, for example, I have one of those. It's got the LEDs like built right in, and those are coming through directly at you. So when I use that ring light, it has a diffuser, but I have an extra diffuser that I put on it just to soften the light a bit. But with the Elgato ring light, it's built different. It actually has a reflector built into it. So the LEDs are kind of positioned in such a way that they hit the reflector, and then that bounce light is coming through another diffuser out of the unit, which softens it more. So that's probably something to do with the quality of the ring light. And I've just found, using it just off axis, it's just been a great soft light. And yes, I've used this light with, because my wife does a lot of stuff from home, and my wife has a much lighter complexion than me. And so I've used this just fine off axis. Again, it could be the quality of it, just how it's built. And obviously exposure is a big piece of it. And that's the camera, which is a whole other piece that you have to consider, which is important, obviously. Anthony, how do you like that Insta360? Oh, everyone's talking in the comments now, which is great. It's excellent. It means you're all learning from each other, which is awesome. I need to bring my lighting game up for real. Well, you know, that's interesting when you say that, because I ask you, why do you need to bring it up, do you think? Is it because it doesn't look nice to you? it doesn't look like other people's videos? I'm just curious. Because lighting is one of those things that's very, it's very dear to my heart because that was my specialty in school was lighting. And, there's more to lighting than, oh, here's the fixtures and let's put them up. There's actual design considerations when it comes to lighting. And those design considerations are closely tied to your content and the kind of mood and look and feel you're trying to project. So lighting is more than just pop up some lights and, call it a day. There's a lot more to it. In my mind, if you want to have good lighting and effective lighting, I shouldn't say good lighting, effective lighting. So I'm just curious. Oh, talking about 360. There they go. Back to Doc. I learned lighting from Victor Milt, one of Hollywood's best commercial light people, and his specialty was hardware, store a light kit, and get in the shot. Yeah, I learned from a guy here up in Canada. I think he's still a lighting director. He came into my class when I was in broadcasting school, and he had, I'll never forget it. He had a flashlight, like a industrial flashlight, and a white bed sheet. And he was lighting. He had a model, and he was showing all this kind of lighting. And we'd been in the studio with all these big lights and stuff for TV. And he walked in with like a flashlight and a bed sheet and made this amazing shot. We're like, what? I'll never forget that. Consequently, I've been on shoots, broadcast series, where I've used flashlights, bounce cards a lot, all kinds of different things to get the shot. Because it's not about the light. Here's the secret to lighting. Ready? Don't light. The secret to lighting is not lighting. The secret to lighting is exposure, camera exposure. Because it's what the camera sees that's what's most important. I'll let you figure that one out. Yay. What are you yaying for, Meredith? I don't know. But that's awesome. Oh, and yes, Happy New Year to everyone, Meredith and Doc. Forgot to say that in the last stream I was in with you, Doc. Oh, thank you. Yes. Meredith is awesome. Yes, she is. She's great. I've been watching Meredith for years. Awesome. There's someone who's always innovating. I think that's part of the inspiration. Is Meredith is always changing and adjusting, and it's great. If you have to shut down your channel because of AI, then so do I. Oh no. No, not shut down, but I think you would agree, Meredith, that and you're excellent at this because I always see you do this. You're pivoting and you're always doing new stuff. And I think that's just what we all have to do as creators, particularly educational creators. And I think in a way it's a good thing. Obviously it's a bad thing, for some reasons, but I think it's a good thing because, again, it's forcing you off your spot and forcing you to innovate and think about what's important. And sometimes you just got to be forced off your spot in order to grow. You got to be forced out of the pocket. These are my football stuff, my analogies there. Okay, where was I? This is all over the map now. Do my chat. Oh, here we are. Key point, build community over audience. Yes, it's important to do that. And I think how you build community is not just the content. It's how you're delivering it, how you relate, and how you connect. As seen in this chat, in this live stream, from all these wonderful people with such amazing comments. Again, thank you so much for being here. That kind of stuff makes it really worthwhile for me as a creator to know that I'm making some kind of impact. That's really important. Mike, in your opinion, is quality of the footage more important than the sound quality? I get asked this a lot, but content is key, right? Keep viewers watching. It's a hard one. I'll tell you something. We learned this. It's an old saying. At least this is what we used to say. Audio is 80% of video. The whole thing is this. Our brains are constantly looking for patterns and piecing things together. So when things aren't there, our brains will fill in the spot. So when it comes to footage that isn't pristine, our brains can fill in a lot of the space and can derive the meaning from it. Just from the symbolism, our brains are just amazing at that. So when footage isn't the best, we're able to fill that in and make it work. But when audio is bad, we can't, our brains just shut down. We can't tolerate that because so much of the information in video, particularly if you're doing stuff like this, talking head or any kind of informational video, so much of the information is conducted through the audio. So if you can't, hear stuff, it's tough, can't comprehend, it gets frustrating and just becomes unpleasant. So if I were someone who was like, okay, I have limited resources, what should I really invest in? Depending on the type of videos you're making, I would invest in a quality microphone. That for me is a big priority. It's a big priority. So, and of course, yes, content is key. The message is key. But if no one's ever going to get to your message, if they can't hear you or they're just turned off by the audio, and a lot of people, right now, I'm sure there's people watching this stream. They're not watching. They maybe have me on in the background and they're listening. I'm sure there are. So yes, audio is very important. Doc is handling tech support here in the chat, which is great. I have bought Neewer CM28 lapel mics, and you helped me with the mono sound problem fix. Oh gosh, yeah. Using GarageBand, which I for some reason had to download. You must have an older Mac. Great thumbnail, lots of value in your stream. Thank you. Yeah, that whole stereo mono thing with some microphones, particularly with microphones, because most microphones are mono. They're not stereo. Because if they were stereo, they would have two pickups. You've seen those before. Some recorders. So microphones are mono, single channel. But what we do in mixers and stuff like that, they're smart enough to know, hey, this is a microphone. This is mono. But I know you don't want this just coming out of the left speaker. So we're going to put it to both channels. And so you hear it out of both. But some software, like QuickTime Player, for example, doesn't do that. It goes stereo, I'm stereo. So consequently, with some audio interfaces, like, the Scarlett Solo, for example, is a very popular one. It has like a plug-in for the mic, which is usually the left channel, and it has another input for like an instrument, a guitar or a keyboard, and it splits it. And you can't merge them. It splits, it comes out split channel. So when you go into QuickTime Player, it does stereo. It just looks at the split channel and goes up, mic on the left, instrument on the right. But usually when people are using the Scarlett, they're just using a microphone. They end up, there's no instrument. So they end up with the microphone sound just on the left, which is very frustrating. And so after the fact, fixing that is a bit of a pain, but you can do it in GarageBand. You can do it in some other applications too. But that, that's understanding audio and how it works. I'm no expert in audio. Our audio is a dark art. I don't claim to understand it. I know some very excellent audio people, and they are wizards as far as I'm concerned. I know basic stuff. But that stereo mono thing is something I had to learn the hard way. But I'm glad I helped. Hey, the Dusty Dutchman is here. Hey, good to see you. What's the easiest way to upgrade to an XLR style mic and still record in camera? Oh, there's There's several ways you can do that. There's actually some interfaces you can get. Um, I have one. It doesn't work the greatest though. It is actually an XLR to stereo mini plug, which goes into the camera converter. But you can get adapters. I have one for a shotgun mic. It's a simple XLR to stereo mini adapter, and I just plug. You plug in the XLR cable, click into when it's a bit of cable, and then goes into the shotgun mic. I use that on field recording all the time, and then the mini stereo goes into the camera. But you got to make sure that your shotgun mic can supply enough power. Usually the input on the camera has power to take the mini plug, but that's one way you can do it. I shoot with Sony full frame cameras. Ooh, nice. Very nice, beautiful. Sony came up the last few years because before they were behind Canon big time. Like in the last 7-8 years, the color science wasn't that great, and particularly with the DSLRs, the Canon color science was so much better. And people still like the Canon color science because they like that more filmic look that you get with the Canon color science. Sony's color science was very digital, which can work sometimes with camcorders and stuff, like if you're doing the news and stuff like that for news gathering. But for DSLRs, for you want artistic stuff, Sony was, but they've come a long way now. So much better now. So much better now. I very much like your channel. And yes, there's always demand for tutorial channels like yours. Tools might change, but humans involved stay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, here's a question for you all in the chat. Because one thing that I want to do more of is this kind of thing, is sort of the live stuff and kind of the live tutorials. I'd done it before in my channel here, and actually it was quite fun about a year ago. And what I did was I did the live training, and it was great because we got to ask questions and go over things and stuff. And then I took that and I just edited down to just the tutorial part of it and put it on the channel. And that seemed to work well. Is that something that you would be interested in? If so, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat. Because I know some people don't care for it. It's the people who just want the value. Just give me the value. I don't want the personality. Just give me the goods. And they don't like the live stuff. But I find also, just for me, I enjoy the live interaction. Let me know. In the meantime, more chat. Yes, but the more AI created content we have, the more the audience looks for real human beings. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And that's why I think it's for a lot of creators, it's a bit of a wake-up call to add some more humanity to the content. Oh, Doc is going wild in here. Oh, you just gave me an idea about audio versus video. Since we are of a certain age, ever listen to an LP and stare contemplatively at the album cover, making up your version of the story video? Yes. Actually, Doc, it's funny you mentioned that. That was one of the exercises in my broadcasting school 40 years ago. First year audio production was, we actually had to take a picture. Yeah, we had to take a picture. We could, any picture we wanted to. Whatever you wanted to. And I took this, it was a sci-fi image, and you had to create a soundtrack for it, like a 30-second soundtrack, but it had to tell a story. It couldn't just be like music and for 30 seconds. It had to have sound effects, and it had to be a story that went with the image, that told the story of the image. So when you looked at the image, you were immersed in the story, and your imagination was going, that's what's going on. That was such a hard exercise. But it was so rewarding. It was so fun. Thanks for bringing me back to broadcasting school, Doc. Oh, so good we way to think of it. Yeah, it does. It does. Anybody will know Blair Witch Project? Anybody familiar with that film? Came out in 1998, 1999. Was like incredibly innovative. I watched it in the theater, which was probably a mistake because a lot of people got motion sickness watching it because it was basically all handheld and shot on a high 8 camera. If everyone remembers high 8 video. And it won awards. And it was riveting because of the story, because of the performance. It was one of those kind of found footage horror films. It was just amazing. It was just such a buzz around it. But you could argue the quality was not very good. A lot of it was handheld and shaky. So a lot of times your brain was filling in what was going on. Low light, all kinds of stuff. But it worked. It worked. Awesome. Thanks again for the info. You're welcome. Darth Vader's here. I'm going to stand up. People are very strange, and we kept too much of it to ourselves. Hence, that art is dying. Yeah. Yeah. Strange. All right. We got a 1 from Anthony. Cool. I've enjoyed this. 1 from Sean's Container Garden. Cool, cool, cool. Derek, 1. Gothnetic, 1. Darth Vader, 1. Olga, 1. Both have their place. Derek, you referring to live and recorded tutorials? Definitely. I love the live, organic, interactive nature of the live streams. I like when creators mix the streams in with their normal produced content. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been kind of trying to do, and just sort of mine the live streams for the valuable nuggets and put those together into a something that's somewhat cohesive, which is very, very good practice for editing. Great live stream, Mike. Enjoyed it. Do more. Oh, thanks, Sean. Sean. Well, that is Sean's Container Garden. So yes, it is Sean. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it. At school, I acted badly. I would have loved to have done lighting or smoke. We had a new drama building installed by in the day. It was brill with all the lighting balcony. It was awesome. Wow. That sounds fun. At school, he acted badly? I don't think all of us did at some point. I was no angel. You can ask my parents about that. Hello, I am newly or less so. Anything you do is fine with me. Keep up the great job. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate it. Excellent. Hey, yeah, you remember the Blair Witch Project. Yeah. I always use that as an example when people say, well, I need the best this and that to make a... Watch that movie. No, you don't. I mean, it's a little extreme and, by today's standards, but it just shows you what you can do with very little. And in fact, they took what you would perceive as a limitation and turned it into an advantage, which is the true... Why does my internet keep jumping? It's the second time. And now, okay. So we got another one from Peter. Nice to have multiple creators here. Yes, it is. Here we go. Why the end? Well, I don't know, Jake, if it's the end. It may be the end of an era. Maybe I can put it that way. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. And now my chat is having some issues. Anyway, I can just do it from here. You still got your tea bag in the cup. Must be strong now. Yeah. Yeah, it is strong. I like my tea strong. Okay, I'm going to go to this chat. People do we have with us today? What's going on here? Crazy. 36. Excellent. So cool. So cool. So, yeah. So, I don't think, well, it's not going to be the end of the channel, but I guess it's going to be the end of the channel in a certain way, I guess. As I do, as I change how I deliver my content in order to stand out and build that connection. And I think one of the best ways is doing what I'm doing right now is live interaction. And I know for some people it's tricky because, they can't, it's kind of like appointment to view, right? If you're not available, it's kind of tough to be here, but there's always a recording. Yeah. So anyway, that I guess it's the end of an era for how I do things, I think, on the channel. Not the end of the channel, not the end of the content and information that, you've come to expect from me. But I think I think in light of things, in light of the competition on YouTube, in light of AI, and in just having, I think, in 2025, wanting to connect more, and I think that's going to be an important aspect of everyone's content. I think we're going to, it's going to be more live tutorials, and then editing it down into a more concise package for those folks who, want the goods right away. Read the sign behind you, mate. Add change to it. Yeah, we'll be all good. Yeah. Failure is success in progress. Yeah, that's learning. That's how you learn. By making mistakes. Are you still considering diving into Final Cut Pro content? Well, it's interesting, Dusty, it's interesting you say that, because one of the example things I was talking about at the beginning was, and one of the sort of the, what inspired me for this change was a video I saw from the good folks at Ripple Training, you probably know them, showing how Gemini 2, the new AI from Google, can basically teach you Final Cut Pro. It's not perfect, but, it's made mistakes, but it'll be better. And so I think in terms of any software, whether it's Resolve or Final Cut Pro or iMovie or Keynote, people are going to be able to have the AI teach them. But what will challenge them, though, is finding the tips and tricks and the hacks and the insider stuff that, you only know and learn through experience of making stuff. And I think that in order for me to do, I think just moving forward in general with any software, Mac video software, that sort of has to be the angle in order to stand out. So yes, I'm still considering that. But again, I gotta find the angle on it that works and is also not repeating what everybody else is doing, because there are a lot of great folks out there doing Final Cut Pro tutorials. They're doing DaVinci Resolve tutorials, and there's not really such a thing as oversaturation on YouTube. But just for me personally, I need to, as a creator, find my angle on things and not just repeat what other people are doing just, very competently. So that's going to be the challenge for me. What's going on? I'm just reading the comments from the comment section. Steven, you would make a great voiceover guy coming to a cinema near you. Mac Video Magic Uncensored. Yeah, I used to be the guy in broadcasting school who they got to do the movie trailers and the commercial stuff. My nickname in broadcasting school was Michael Kinney Radio. It was one of my fellow students. She always addressed me that way. I see her in the hallway. Hey, Michael Kinney Radio. Okay. Hi, Candace. Anyway. Keep the old and start anew. Everyone in, hit the like button. It helps the channel. Thank you, Sean, for mentioning that. I always forget that stuff. Yeah, if you like this, hey, hit the like channel. This gets things moving. This gets it out there for other people who, may be interested in the content. Helps the channel grow. A lot of people do a lot of things, but the reason we are all here watching is because we like the way you do it. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dusty. Dusty Dutchman. I don't know if your name is Dusty. Probably not. But Dusty Dutchman, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, you never know though, right? And I think this is what I love about live streaming is, you don't know, like when you put out a piece of content on demand, you make your video, you put it out there. You hope people find value in it. You may get some people in the comments saying, yeah, it was good, or you get some negative stuff. But you really don't know what people are thinking until they actually tell you through this kind of thing, right? Through live streaming. So that's why I think it's one of the other reasons why I think I'll be moving to doing this kind of thing more, because it connects me to you too. And I guess in a way, this is about as far as I can come to competing with Gemini, in that I can kind of answer your questions real time. Obviously not at the scale that Gemini can, but I can answer all of your questions. So I guess in order to compete, this is the way I have to do it. That's it. That's it. Thank you, Diamond88 Keys, for liking. Steven, by the way, great sound quality and love the background music. You almost don't notice it. Spot on. Thank you. Yes, that's my Rodecaster Duo mixer. Oh, but the setup for all this was a whole thing. Now I'll have to do a video on that at some point. Because the setup for getting this mixer to work properly with what I'm doing was a whole thing. I figured it out though, and it's probably something valuable for you if you want to do more sort of advanced audio with your streams, if you live stream. Let me know if you're interested. Ralph Ferguson, thanks so much. My break is over. Back to work. Always invaluable. Thanks, Ralph. Back to work. Back to work. Thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time on your valuable break to be here. Wow, thanks. You could be so many other places, and you chose here. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jonah, you are an excellent instructor. Yes, information alone does not weigh the same as experience. Your experience gives your audience confidence in your teaching. Your patience is also invaluable. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, experience. And that's another thing I want to do too, is draw on more of my experience, which is, not to toot my own horn, it's pretty vast, both behind the camera and in front of the camera. And so I want to bring more of that to bear than just teaching information. If you'd be interested in that, let me know. Again, put a 1 in the put a 1 in the chat if you want to hear, kind of not just me sitting here telling stories from back in the day, but tying my experience to, learning something, right? Learning to do something. Because I think doing that actually gives great context to learning something and gives a great perspective. 1, great. I'm in 88 Keys, 1. The Dusty Dutchman, 1. Gothnetic, 1. Sean, really enjoyed the stream. Do more. It's great to get everyone involved and just smash out questions and experiences. Yes, I agree. It is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy live streaming. I enjoy it a lot. 1 from Jonah. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. I will do that. I will do that. So yes, so bottom line, pertaining to the title of this stream, because it wasn't, misguiding you. I guess it is the end of the channel in a certain way, in terms of a certain way of doing things, but it's a new start for a different way moving forward. And I want to still continue to help you, whatever it is you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to create. And here's the thing too, I do this, there's a question a lot of people talk about, your why for making content, your why for putting yourself out there on YouTube. And people have different reasons. Some people are, they have a business they're trying to grow. A lot of people talk about this concept of service, meaning they want to help people, which is amazing. But if I'm going to be honest with you, and I think we know each other enough, I should be honest with you. My why isn't really that. Me helping you is kind of a great consequence of my why. And why do I do this? It's because I love creating content. I love creating content using technology. And when I learn something new, I just have this compulsion to share it. And so I share it with you so that you can experience, that joy of learning to do something, but also the empowerment that comes with that, right? Because before you didn't know, right? It's hard to remember what it was like not to know. And as an instructor, just by falling into it, that's what I've learned to do, is remember what it's like not to know. And I know the joy that comes along with learning something new, but not just learning something new, but becoming empowered to do something you couldn't do before, and how powerful that is. And so I get that enthusiasm and I just have to share it. And that's why I do what I do. And that's what drives me. And that's what keeps me going after 7 years. Through all the ups and downs of YouTube and all the different changes in the algorithm, and now we've got AI to deal with, what keeps driving me is that curiosity and enthusiasm for content creation. And my mission is to share that with you in hopes that you become motivated and become empowered, like I did when I first learned it, to do whatever it is you want to do. So that's what I do it for. Maybe not the noblest reason, but I'm just being honest. I think the consequences are noble though, but my why is that. And that's what keeps me going. And that's a big part of being a content creator and having any longevity is knowing your why and being honest about what it is. So anyway, I don't know why I went into that speech, but anyway, I guess it's just in line with how the channel is changing. And I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, that is what's happening. Not the end, but a new beginning. Let's put it that way, of the channel. Now, in terms of a schedule, that's a whole different thing. But I think with live for me, because there's really, in terms of the live piece, there's not a ton of prep involved. There's not like a bunch of post-production and editing that has to be done. So coming to you will actually be faster. The editing part will be with afterwards when it goes on the channel. But that's, like I said, I enjoy that kind of editing. So that won't be too bad. So there we have it. Now, so subscribe if you're new to the channel. Subscribe to be notified when I go live. I will come out with a regular schedule as I sort of see what's sort of how things are playing out. But we'll definitely at least do once a week for sure. I want to do more than that, but we'll see how it goes. We'll start there. And so that I know with live, because it's appointment television, so to speak, it's good to have a schedule so people can plan around it. So I know that's important with live streaming. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I've yacked on and on for a long time. I can talk. Got lots to share. But thanks for being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the lovely comments around the channel. I really appreciate it. And a lot of, I think more creators need to do live streams so that they can reach out to their communities and connect with their communities, and so their communities can share with them how they feel, because it's very uplifting. It's very motivating. So thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be here. You could be so many other places. You have so many other choices, but you chose to be with me. I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one again. Subscribe. I'll put a notice up in the community tab as well when the next live stream is happening. So yeah, until then, enjoy the rest of your day and keep creating content.